Hey, welcome back to TPS. Like many things in life, the NFL has only gotten more fun and exciting as the years go by. New rules, new systems, advanced technology, it goes on. Though some of you might say that today's TV shows, movies, and music may not be as great as what we witnessed in the 20th century, you can't deny that the NFL is much better now than ever before. I'm Justin Fraction. Today we give you 10 reasons why the NFL is better now than ever before. At TPS, we post videos every single day, so don't forget to click the subscribe button to subscribe. Then click the notification bell to be notified when we post a new video. And a huge shout out to Aditya for suggesting this list. We hope you enjoyed, and if you have an idea, leave yours down below. You never know, we might use one and then we'll give you a shout out, but we'll write the video. Don't worry about that. Number 10, replay system. Yes, we know the NFL still has an officiating problem, and you can make a case that the refs make far more mistakes now than any other decade in the past. But let's not deny it, having an efficient-ish replay system, coaches' challenges, and booth reviews has helped out a ton over the years. After Jerry Rice's controversial no-fumble ruling in the 1998 NFC wildcard game between the Packers and 49ers, the NFL introduced its current replay system for the 1999 season. Just think about all the horrible endings we'd have in games today without the replay system. All of those no catches would be ruled as catches and vice versa. All of those no touchdowns will be called touchdowns, and boy, the NFL would be in a very ugly spot right now. Thankfully, catches, touchdowns, turnovers, and such aren't so controversial anymore. The main problems with today's refs is their judgment when it comes to calling penalties and such. Thank goodness for the current replay system. The less controversy, the better. Number 9, divisional realignment. From 1983 to 2001, the NFL was broken up into 6 divisions. The NFC and AFC each had an East, Central, and West division. With relocation and expansion ongoing throughout the years, the league had to keep moving teams around. But when the Houston Texans expansion franchise joined the league for the 2002 season, the NFL made the wonderful decision of forming 8 divisions. Each conference now had a North, South, East, and West division. That's how it should be done, and better yet, the NFL did a great job of ensuring most of the historic rivals stayed together in the same division. So we get to have the Ravens, Steelers, Redskins, Cowboys, and Packers, Bears twice a year. The divisional alignment has lasted almost 20 years now. 8 divisions always made more sense than 6. And let me tell you, the New England Patriots sure love how the divisional realignment has played out for them. Number 8, NFL Network / more off-season coverage. Well, you folks who grew up in the 90s can probably relate. You didn't get to stream stuff on computers back in the day. There were only so many channels on television too. And all the sports channels and talk shows didn't talk about football much during the offseason. It was all about MLB, NBA, and NHL once football ended. But in an era where the NFL is as popular as ever before, the league has made sure that football will always be on our TVs, computers, phones, and radios. NFL Network was launched in 2003, providing around-the-clock coverage. So really, football never goes away between February and early September, as diehards can just flip to the NFL Network and watch anything. The combine, draft, and free agency coverage, old game highlights, analysis, training camp news, everything. Even ESPN, CBS, and other broadcasting networks have shows that bring excellent coverage during the offseason. We didn't have this up until the 21st century. Back then, once the Super Bowl was done, you had to impatiently wait over a half a year before any sort of football coverage resumed. Thanks to the birth of the NFL Network and all these other media outlets, football season never truly goes away. Number 7, you shall pass. Up until the mid to late 90s, most NFL teams relied on a strong ground and pound rushing game to carry the offense. Up until the likes of Joe Montana, John Elway, and Dan Marino came around in the 80s, you just didn't put the game in a quarterback's hands very often. But with guys like Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, and Drew Brees leading the NFL into the 21st century, the game has turned into a passing league. The quarterback position has become the most important in all of sports, and even the old-timer fans and analysts will tell you football is more exciting today with its pass-happy style. Few MVP-caliber quarterbacks existed in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s decades, but we've seen many elite quarterbacks since the early 2000s. You simply can't win in today's NFL without an above-average signal caller. Lots of great teams don't commit much to the ground game. Football has just completely changed. Teams want their quarterbacks throwing 300 yards and multiple touchdowns a game. And guess what? The game is more fun to watch that way. Number 6, better technology/cameras equals better viewing experience. As you'll hear a lot about on this list, technology has changed and gotten much better over time. With that, the NFL has put an emphasis on better viewing experiences for the fans, both at games and on television. Obviously, the quality of cameras are far better today than they were during the 20th century. The league has camera angles everywhere, and now you can see as clear as day. The camera angles along the goal line, above the field, near the sidelines, and behind the goalpost, you name it, we get to see everything. All the mic'd up stuff is must-see theater as well, something viewers rarely got to see pre-21st century. Now you get to see multiple angles of just about every play, and it's so much fun being able to get a closer look at everything. When officials have to review a play, not only do they get to see several up-close angles of the play in question, but we the viewers do too. At the end of the day, the fans pay the players' salaries, so it's very kind of the NFL to reward us all with better viewing experiences. Number 5, fantasy football. Depending on your definition of fantasy football, you can date its birth back to the 60s, when Oakland Raiders businessmen met in New York to form the type of league we all enjoy today. But fantasy football slowly began to take off in the late 90s, just as the internet was becoming more advanced over time. Of course, not everybody owned a computer then. Cell phones weren't advanced, so not very many people played fantasy. I mean, did any of you have friends who were willing to add up the scores and keep track of everything manually? Only in the 2010s did fantasy football really begin to take off. Now millions of people signed up online to play it every season. Many outlets like NFL.com, Yahoo, ESPN, and CBS have online fantasy football leagues. Heck, we all have some friends who play the game, even if they're not the biggest football diehards. And let's be honest, we all spend a ton of time on our phones and computers researching and strategizing for fantasy football. Obviously, the advancement of technology and its general usage played a key role in helping fantasy football take off, and now it's a huge part of the lives of millions of football fans. Number 4, more free agency intrigue. It wasn't until the 1993 offseason when the NFL introduced its modern free agency system. But even then, it wasn't very often in the 90s when we saw some high-profile players change teams. When you think of premier FH signings in the 90s, you obviously think of Deion Sanders, who signed deals with both the San Francisco 49ers and Dallas Cowboys. And you certainly think of the Green Bay Packers franchise-changing move when they signed away Reggie White from the Philadelphia Eagles. Well, it was also a big deal when the New York Jets snagged Pro Bowl running back Curtis Martin from the arch-rival New England Patriots. But other than that, you just didn't see superstars change teams in free agency much. In the 21st century, we're seeing Pro Bowl caliber players signing with new teams all the time. Think about franchise-changing moves like when the New Orleans Saints signed Drew Brees in 2006, or when the Denver Broncos got Peyton Manning in 2012. Bill Belichick has found so many hidden gems in free agency, building up the 21st century dynasty in New England as a result. We can't forget other Hall of Famers like Charles Woodson signing with the Green Bay Packers in 2006, or Shannon Sharpe joining the Baltimore Ravens in 2000. Free agency is like Christmas for football fans. Seeing superstars sign with new teams every March has only taken off in the 21st century, much more exciting than the 90s when superstars rarely changed teams. Number 3, bigger, better, and faster players. This is not to take away the accomplishments of the many NFL legends who played in the 20th century, but as time has passed, professional athletes of all sports have gotten bigger, faster, stronger, and a lot quicker. That's just the way it is now. As technology and medical research have become more advanced, today's athletes have developed to become more dominant and freakish than athletes of the past. In the 21st century, we've simply seen players at more dominant levels than ever before. And not only that, but there are also far more superstars in the NFL these days compared to any other previous decade. In the Super Bowl era, take any decade from the 60s to 90s, you only had a few elite quarterbacks along with a handful of superstar wideouts, running backs, and pass rushers. Really, only so many players were franchise changers. Now, there are at least 10 to 15 legitimate franchise quarterbacks in the league. Most teams have an extremely reliable running back. 5 to 7 cornerbacks have made a case as, well, the best in the game, such as Richard Sherman, Patrick Peterson, and Marshawn Lattimore. Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning, and Drew Brees launched the golden era of quarterbacks, 4 once-in-a-lifetime legends who all own a bulk of impressive records that shall never be broken. But just think about this. Any team at any given time has at least 1 or 2 franchise stars. That wasn't the case some decades ago. The players today are simply better, more dominant, and more well-rounded than ever before. Number 2, thrilling Super Bowls. A large portion of the first 30 Super Bowls were nothing short of boring. In the 80s, for example, only 2 Super Bowl games were decided by a single possession. And those were both when Joe Montana's San Francisco 49ers beat the Cincinnati Bengals. 6 Super Bowls that decade were decided by 17 or more points. You wonder if half of America fell asleep by halftime. We don't have any official data on it, but you cannot discount that possibility. Unfortunately, the 90s weren't very exciting either when it came to Super Bowls. The 49ers blew out the Denver Broncos 55-10 in one Super Bowl, then destroyed the San Diego Chargers 49-26 in another. The Buffalo Bills, who lost 4 straight Super Bowls in the 90s, were blown out in 3 of them. Only Super Bowls 25 and 32 were decided by a single score. Even in their low-scoring Super Bowl 53 victory over the Rams, it was a tightly contested battle royale right up until the last few seconds. Courtesy of Pro Football Reference, just look at all these close games since the year 2000. Theater, drama, all of it, baby. Thank you, 21st Century, for finally showing us how a real Super Bowl should be played. And number 1, more scoring. At the end of the day, every fan loves more scoring. They can simply never seem to get enough of it. Yeah, the odd defensive slugfest is fun and all, but only a few of those a year is enough. We'll always take a 55-52 game over a 14-10 affair. Well, fans have thankfully been able to witness more and more offense as the 21st century grows older. A lot of that can be attributed to the aforementioned points we made about more athletic players and the fact that the NFL is now a passing league. According to Pro Football Reference, 6 of the highest scoring seasons in NFL history have all happened in the 21st century. 2 were in the 40s, 1 was in the 50s, and 1 was in the 60s. And by the way, the 90s were dreadful for league-wide scoring. 1995 was the highest scoring year for that decade. Teams averaged 21.5 points per game. That's only tied for the 30th most all-time. In 2013, teams averaged 23.4 points per game. Only 1948 saw more offense when teams averaged 23.6 points per game. The 2018 season was the 3rd best offensive season ever, where teams averaged 23.3 points per game. So yeah, the 90s were just dull when it came to offense, and the 70s and 80s were not much better. Thankfully for us football fans, the offense just gets better and better as time progresses. Thank you to players and coaches who made this all possible. Why else do you think the NFL is better now than ever before? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you guys next time.